Manufacturing Matters is an MFG Radio Network production brought to you by GIE Media's Manufacturing Group as industry experts take deep dives into the latest manufacturing matters, whether it's new innovations, products, technologies, and emerging markets that help you understand better why manufacturing matters to you and also to the top companies in the medical, aerospace, defense, and electric vehicle manufacturing industries. Hello and welcome to the latest discussion from GIE Media's Manufacturing Group, how robotics and automation are transforming manufacturing. I'm Jake Kaufman, the managing editor for GIE Media's Manufacturing Group of magazines, which includes aerospace manufacturing and design, today's medical developments, defense and munitions, and our online publication, EV Design and Manufacturing. We'd like to thank today's sponsor, Techman Robot. Established in 2016, Techman Robot is the only collaborative robot manufacturer based in Taiwan. They offer collaborative robots with embedded visual systems, software, and application-based solutions to the market through their more than 100 distributors and SI around the world. In 2022, they defined the next generation of collaborative robots as TMAI Cobot. Today, you'll be hearing from Paulo Dutra Imelo. He is the VP of Sales and Operations at Telemann Robotics and is an accomplished international sales and marketing executive in the engine component sector, currently leading the Collaborative Robots division at Telemann Corp, which is a key distributor of Techman Robot in North America. With more than 20 years of experience in technical sales, product development, and global account management, Dutra Imelo has a keen understanding of the needs and requirements of manufacturing organizations. He earned a BS in mechanical engineering from the State University of Rio de Janeiro and an MSc in mechanical engineering or in engineering management from Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, specializing in metal casting, forging, and machining. Paulo will have a short presentation to set the table for questions. Without further ado, I will hand things over to Paulo.
Hello, Jake. Hello, everybody attending this roundtable. Thank you for the kind introduction. As Jake described, I had a long experience in the side of the manufacturers. So when I jump in this world of collaborative robots and automation, I try to keep things simple and useful for the manufacturers. And I think this is a key point, make process robust for introducing automation. So what I'd like to talk today is the US manufacturing challenge to start with and why automation could help on this. Second is collaborative robots versus industrial robots. Briefly, the difference between them. Everyone has its application. The line is starting to blur recently with the large collaborative robots, able to lift 60 pounds, 50 pounds, and 6-foot long arms. But still, there's room for industrial robots, room for collaborative robots, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. And specific about Techman AI cobots, the AI comes from Techman since the beginning has been a company that integrated the camera with the cobot. So initially, the benefit was locations and localizing points and indexing, some identification, label reading. But recently, in the last couple of years, with advanced in computer speed and also with algorithm models, we can go further with that camera as Techman has done and do inspections with it, even digital twins. Okay, so and last will be the roundtable questions and answers. I welcome anybody's question. I try to help as much as I can in this journey. So US manufacturing industry challenge. So the good news, I think, for manufacturing in the US is there is a lot of willingness to bring manufacturing back, grow manufacturing in America again. And this has been continuous for the last 8-10 years, regardless of politics. As you can see in the COVID, during the COVID years, little investments in manufacturing, construction, okay, related to construction, new factories, new locations, or upgrades. But then since 2021, this has been very accelerating very fast with factories all over the place. And then with the demand growing comes the elephant on the room for every manufacturer that I talk to in America. I participated in 5 trade shows this year. Everybody has a labor shortage problem, and even worse, a skilled labor shortage problem, which is more acute and more difficult to solve. So here, 3.8 million manufacturing jobs created I expect to be created between 2024 and 2023. But for different reasons here, the manufacturing pool to get people from uh, is likely to diminish. So you have a growing demand and making the current situation in the West with labor shortage and specifically manufacturing jobs and skilled labor more acute and more difficult to solve, as I mentioned. Okay, so next, I would like to uh, talk about an item that I hear different places. I am a Gen X, to full disclosure here. So, and the there's a lot of people when I talk to, oh, nobody wants to work hard anymore. Where are the workers? Nobody wants to work hard anymore. So my question here, and instead of being just lamenting about it, is this really true? Throughout the last 100 years of the industrialization and then digitalization of a lot of jobs, uh, there is this complaint from one generation, the older generation, from the next one saying, well, they don't want to work hard anymore. Happened industrial revolution, the roaring 20s, post-war prosperity when come the boomers, and they perceive not as hard work as the previous generation in the war, that lived the war years. 7, 6, and 7, the counterculture, me here in Generation X, slacker, resisting corporate structures, and the latest is the millennials and Gen Z, the accusation being lazy and entitled. Seeking work-life balance and health prioritization. So if you link the thing in common, all this is technology advancements allow people, okay, more than social advancements. We're not advancing much socially, but we're definitely advancing technologically, and from farm to industry and industrialization, growth of cities, inner cities. So we all live this, and every generation, and I think it's a good thing for human beings, wanted to do more with less. And then they put their brain to work and make something better so their life can be better as well. So instead of just lamenting it, I think is a case of embracing what do we need to do to make this different this time. So I want to a lot. So the number of the people work in manufacturing by country, and there'll be a few slides here. I want to share this because when I first got to this information a few years back, I was taken aback. Okay, and we talk a lot. There are a lot of misconceptions, in my view, about what is competitiveness and which country does what. So here are the naked numbers. Okay, so there are about 126 million people in China that work in manufacturing. In India, about 50 million people. United States coming third, but it's just 17, 18 million. And comes Indonesia, Russia, and all the countries lining up there. So by the sheer force of nominal numbers of workers, there's no doubt China and India is going to have an advantage here. So let's see what else they're doing to make this happen. Okay, and what we're doing or not doing here in the West and North America in general. So here's the average monthly manufacturing wages by country. Okay, so this is a USD equivalent. Exchange rates can play a role here. So this is an average. If anybody's interested, I can provide sources from this. But so number one comes there, good old Switzerland with the highest number. And second, United States, about $4,800 per month manufacturing wages. German, we are ahead of Germany, Japan, South Korea, UK, France, Italy, everybody else. India comes really, if they learn how to do things in the manufacturing well, you can see the danger here because for all the countries in the world, they have the youngest population, okay? So that is a big key point to see, and you start to see in the industry some companies coming out of India in manufacturing. Of course, they exist, Tata and others. I visit India myself, but they are becoming better and more aggressive. So they have more people, lower wages. So let's see who is automating more. Well, um, the number here, so what you have here is a metric called robot density in manufacturing. So it's a number of robots per 10,000 people. It's not industrial robots, robots, period, automation per 10,000 employees working in manufacturing. So forget that they have 120 million people in China, and we have 18. Uh, we're talking here specifically a number of robots per 10,000 people. So South Korea, it's not surprising that the one that have the highest wages, and I put here an average monthly wages for the employees, it's not surprising that they put more robots. The density is higher. Germany, Japan, and South Korea, they have a more expensive labor rate, and they try to compensate with automation and other measures, improve quality too. Then surprisingly comes China. At least for a few people, be surprising. When you dig behind the numbers, they are very low wage compared even to the West. But the difference here is that China, historically, because of the one child per couple, they don't have a large population to replace the one that's retiring. Okay, so they by need, as incredible as it is, that size, they need more robots to keep up with their production. So this is accelerating fast. China passed the West 2 years ago, and now it's already passing others. Okay, so they're investing heavily in automation. Funny wise, in China, I read an article about saying that people don't want to work in manufacturing anymore, which is funny this for me because we talk about this in the West so much. But even in China, manufacturing can be attractive. And that's part of the job here for everybody in this panelists involved in the industry. We need to make it more attractive. It's not only salaries, it's the technologies involved. You attract young people when you have interesting things. Remember the Gen Zs that they like the quality of life? So that plays a role here. If you have the old door factory, you're going to have a hard time finding people, good people, young people to replace your employees that are retiring. So the West comes here with the 4,800 and a lower robot density. So there are two factors against us here. The wage is lower in China. They put more automation and they have more people. It's a tough task, guys. And there are things we can do. Uh, it's much more expensive to invest in a robot produced in Japan, for instance, to China or India or other countries, Brazil, Mexico, than it is from the West. The dollar is strong and it's going to continue to be strong for many years. So investing in automation pays back much faster in the West. Unfortunately, it's not done as much as we would like to. Italy is behind their US, but hey, they don't have more or less the same, but they have a much lower wage. So I put this as a common problem. Doesn't matter which industry you are. In fact, there are other industries besides manufacturing. There would be these two, logistics, advanced logistics. So I want to put this picture here and welcome questions later on how to tackle this. So collaborative robots versus industrial robots. Uh, I've been involved for about 4 years, and I visit, I believe, over 100 places, evaluating, assessing if a cobot versus industrial robot. And there are advantages to collaborative robots, and I can list some here. Work close to human, mobility, flexibility, no need of safeguard under collaborative mode, which is relatively slow. I'll explain this in a second, and reduce the risk of injury. So robots have sensors, and then they stop and protect the employee. So first off, the industrial revolution, the robots, the latest industry report 3.0, 4.0, whatever jargon we want to use. So GMs, the large corporations, they can put industrial robots in large plants and a very heavy investment, pay back in 4 years because they can and they control their product. For the rest of the 95% of the manufacturing base, that's not true. You live some contracts, if you have a contract, it's just a year, 6 months. I have been in 4 different projects that by the time we deliver something 3, 6 months, 2 months later, they literally lost the entire product that they automated. Okay. So to choose an industrial robot and a very expensive implementation, it costs 3 times more or more even. The industrial robot installation itself and your factory less flexible versus a collaborative robot. Um, and uh, and out of these customers, they ask us, or they self, they redeploy, but also they have asked us, and we gladly work with them to redeploy to a different. You don't throw away the robot, you just apply to a different solution, and this has been proven over and over that that flexibility is there. And some of the people here who have factories, and you remember this old industrial robot in the corner collecting dust because the project is long gone and nobody knows what to do with it because it costs twice the price to redeploy. Remember, collaborative robots can be helpful to you on that fashion. Okay. Um, and I mentioned that industrial robots are they're the place if you need ultimate speed. We have a high volume, low mix, the luxury of few companies, but you find them. Industrial robots too can be more cost effective even, and excellent results. Okay, parts very heavy too. Still, industrial robots, collaborative robots are limited to 60 pounds, 50 to 60 pounds. So this is something that to watch. And one thing that also plays a role is the language that you use to program is a more modern language, but these companies were invented or created later in the 2010s on with Universal Robots. The language for Fanucs, Yaskawas, and all of this, they started in the 50s and 60s, and they go for the old timers here, Pascal and Basic, that's the language, script language. And they have to keep some kind of commonality, even when they develop cobots themselves. So the language is tied to a legacy. Collaborative robots, and this is script language. Collaborative robots, process type of flow is a much easier programming. It's coming better and better on this. So even I see adoption of collaborative robots when you don't have all these experts in robotics in your plant, in your location, and you want to implement and start using cobots for specific situations. So there's another advantage there. Particularly for Tecma now, uh, Tecma is quite a large corporation. Excuse me, their mother company, which is Quanta Computer, 120,000 people. For sure, you have something already in your life that was from Quanta, but you never knew, which they produces the boards and computers for HP, for Dell, from different companies in the world. So the consumer electronics and all this, it's very, very strong in this company. So it's the largest notebook manufacturer in the world. Okay. Um, so then from that company became Techman in 2016. They're headquartered in Taiwan, but there are locations all over and design, manufacture smart collaborative robots. From the scratch, totally developing house. They took a lot of the R&D people from Quanta and moved to Techman, and that was the base. They use a lot in their production lines, the Techma cobots. And again, one of the key things for Techma is since the beginning, they have an integrated camera. And this has only now proven as time goes by, machine vision increased their capabilities to be a very good and smart decision at that time. So the series is very similar to other lines of cobot manufacturers, the large ones, I mean, such as Universal Robots. So you go from the TM5 all the way to a TM20 for the regular series, and there are applications to all kinds of industry, metal manufacturing, processing, machine tending, palletizing, you name it. So electronics, so food processing industry, a lot of applications we see lately. So S series go a step beyond. It's faster, it's the latest model that they have. Not always you need to be with this series here. They are more capable, but Tecma is going to produce both. There's a difference in price there. And I'm sure one can find what is the right price point. But with this new family came two new cobots. They at the 2025S and the TM30S. So 25S is a leading cobot, 25 kilo payload and 1.9 meter length. If you use for palletizing, it's a 30 kilo payload because you don't rotate the last wrist. So quite useful for palletizing, boxing, and other applications that require heavier parts. And the 30, which is 1.7. So second to none, and the camera is integrated, including the software. So I talk about vision. Why? So the crucial role of vision. Without visions, all points are recorded relative to the robot base. Whoever had to deal with it, you have to know where you are all the time. And with the vision system, you can have what this little square. There can be different shapes, but this shape this little square that Tecmo provides does not only the X and Y, but also Z. So you can rotate your part in some fixture and still indexing the program to that landmark. This is incredibly helpful when you have a mobile card to put by hand, moving to another machine. You kind of move closer, a couple inches here and there, and then indexes and works. But when you get to AMMs, which is the autonomous mobile manipulators, where you have a AMR, autonomous mobile robot, and an arm on top, this is vital. The accuracy of AMR is about, give or take, an inch, so 2 inches total. And when you use the landmark, the approximates to a machine, and then the cobot looks down and with the camera and becomes 0.1 millimeter indexing. So quite substantial and allow applications for AMRs moving around that are quite interesting. So here, that's what I just mentioned, the autonomous mobile manipulator. So their system is a mini pallet system, so it is checking the landmark also for part numbers, for whatever you need, or type of program. And that's a product we also commercialize here in the West. We have a partnership with MSI, not part of this call here, but that's the MR in the top, in the bottom. So we have actual Telamon Robotics. We sold units to Purdue University for their research lab, similar to that. It seems futuristic, but in fact, there are some applications clear when the cycle times are long. Okay, it's like 3D printing farms. One robot, one unit like this can go and pick up the parts that are being produced, take an hour. I've been to some aviation machining shops for parts, machines for aviation, and some cycle times are incredibly long. So every time you're having a long, it pays off to have it moving around a cobot versus have one cobot per machine. Okay, so you have pick and place, quality inspection, material handling. So some of the examples here. So you start at that part of the evolution that I mentioned to you guys is where the vision, the indexing, segregation, positioning. So this all can be heavily used. Okay, and the imagination can go wild here on how you apply. Can read actually a screen directly versus I/O digital connection. So the camera has several applications. I'm gonna, so, and we're gonna talk about this one here later. Unlock intelligence, so traditional machine vision, visual AI vision. So what evolution happened is traditional machine vision, you have the image rules and the result predetermined. So now the AI portion is basically putting the jargon around because I think AI is used too much nowadays for things that are not necessarily AI. But so what can be done here is defect analysis. So you define a pattern before what's your good part. The customer you give to us what's a good part, what's a bad part, pictures. And then we develop an algorithm separately, TM training server, which this algorithm takes as much as one picture, 1,000 pictures, doesn't matter, is an algorithm that provides fast inspection. And that is organic too, because you can add new things to the future and retrain your server. There are products in the market from Cognex, from others that do that. Okay, don't take me wrong. This is not exclusively for TM. However, because the camera is integrated and the software, the solution, if you need this, you're talking about several $1,000s less if you go with the Cobot Techman versus buying a secondary system and having to integrate that. So another traditional quality inspection here, you have fixed cameras all over the place there. It's very static. You need to know, adjust from time to time. If your product changes, nightmare to change that traditional system. So the camera on the Cobot can be that camera or even a 3D camera, a separate camera. It also works in our system. You go around the part. So the famous field depth that's so important for measurements or for identification of problems, they compensate this with the move of the Cobot. So part change is a program change, it's not a physical change like it would be in a traditional fashion. And then it goes from barcode reading, labels, transparent seal stickers. So it goes beyond what like a laser scanner can do. Techman lately launched the flying trigger, which can even identify problems with the parts moving, which is quite remarkable. And so walking the talk here, the TM Cobot Go apply this technology in their own line in Taiwan. I visited them in August this year. Quite remarkable. It's cobots inspecting cobots. Okay, so here a video how this is done. Um, So there's a predetermined path. So the cobots are programmed to identify defects. The static model there is the robot being inspected, and the others are checking all the features. And very important here, barcode, if there's any component missing, positioning, and so forth. And this is recorded. I think the key part is recorded. You see how many of the inspections can be done here in the Cobot. And later for traceability, you have all this data also under the same soft umbrella here. I highly, the traceability portion and the customer still controls what the defects are. We're not telling anybody how good part, the bad part is. You need to tell us, we just train the model. It's a remarkable thing for many industries and automotive. I worked in quality in long years in automotive too, so I know quality campaigns. You can trace your product back, and and you can catch trends as well. So it's quite remarkable. So one last slide before we go to the Q&A is also under this example of inspecting their own cobots. Techman went one step ahead and used the latest, as I understand the technology, which is to develop a digital twin using NVIDIA there, as Axine, and the simulation model. And then you can have vivid images and optimize the path of inspection. So yeah, we're talking about there's no fixed camera, so the cobot is moving around and checking things. But what is the shortest possible path this robot that is checking the other cobot is being checked can do? And that is what they do. Hold on. Here.
Automated optical inspection, or AOI, helps manufacturers identify defects and deliver high-quality products to their customers around the globe. Let's see how Techman, a subsidiary of Quanta, is using NVIDIA Isaac Sim to optimize inspection on their own manufacturing line. By placing the inspection camera directly on articulated robotic arms, Techman's robotic AOI solutions can inspect areas of products that fixed cameras simply can't access. But programming the movement of these robots can be time-consuming. Developers need to determine the precise arm positions as well as the most efficient sequence to capture potentially hundreds of images. This can involve exploring thousands of possibilities to determine an optimal solution. By building a digital twin of the robot using NVIDIA Omniverse and Isaac Sim, Techman was able to reduce the programming time by over 70% compared to manually operating the real robot. Then, Using powerful optimization tools in IsaacSim to explore all possible path options, they were able to streamline the cycle time of each inspection by 20%. To further improve the quality of the inspection, TechMan employed Omniverse Replicator to generate high-quality synthetic datasets. These were then used to train the machine learning models and dramatically enhanced model performance. And by running at the edge, dozens of AI models can be run efficiently and with low latency while inspecting particularly complicated products. Maximizing its use of NVIDIA Omniverse and AI, Techman's robotics AOI solutions help its manufacturing customers speed up inspections while improving product quality.
So with that, I finish this presentation and we start the questions and answers. I asked the team there from the sponsor, no, the company organizing this, Jake, to play. There's a video we're going to play in the background here. Some of the projects we have done for different companies, different applications. Maybe someone catches your fancy there that you see similar to your application, but I'm not going to be describing the videos, but I will take questions from anybody, including Jake and anybody that would like to ask questions.
Well, thank you so much, Paulo, for that presentation. Obviously, you said that this is the questions portion of the presentation. So if anyone out there does have questions for Paulo, you can ask them in the Q&A box, once again, at the bottom of the Zoom screen. But the first question I have to ask is about the workforce. As you mentioned early on in the presentation, that the U.S. has a much higher cost when it comes to wages than all of the other developed countries, such as China. So that makes it hard for America to manufacturing to compete globally. So how can we change that? How can we solve that?
Thank you, Jake, for the question. Yes, it's a difficult equation, but the more I look at this, there's no other way around than to increase automation in the West. You apply advanced manufacturing techniques where you improve your productivity, you do more with fewer people. There are several programs by states. Here in Indiana, for instance, there's a manufacturing readiness grant, and I know in Wisconsin, Ohio, all of them, they're sponsor, even companies, to go and invest in this technology. The reason is that everybody, so if we bring manufacturing back, we're going to produce in America, needs to be with these advanced technologies. You look, I have traveled extensive, have luck to travel extensive around the world, and you look, for instance, Mexico, new plants in Mexico are fully automated. They are not relying on labor local. So, and here in the West, a lot of times we still think that, hey, with time, this is going to, the pressure of work wages or shortage is going to go away. All the statistics say no. It's better to understand this very well now and start to. And you're seeing part of the video here, you're seeing with schools go with applying the technology, allowing application and make it sustainable for the long run to train the workforce, upskill workforce existing or new students to these techniques, to these robots. So we are deep on work with several universities, Purdue, one of them, Vincennes University, Purdue Polytech, Mary University, several universities that we work that programs or training employees and workforce and new students. And it's surprisingly not so much for me, because I've been involved for 4 years, how much the student suddenly is interested on this field of manufacturing. So, and this is important. The labor of the future is going to earn more in manufacturing, but they are going to do more in computer and programming and checking trends versus just feeding a machine parts. Okay. I hope I helped to answer the question.
Yeah. And I mean, like you were saying too, with this new generation, they are so connected at home. You know, everyone has the different, like smart thermostats. They have lights that turn on and off in their house, everything from a phone. So, I mean, the fact that they have all this automation then available to them in the work area, it's definitely, like you said, something that would be more attractive to that younger generation.
Yeah, to this point, Jacob, we can make a more comment. Someone pointed that to me the other day. As a Gen X, when I was young, the companies used to have equipment that are more advanced than you have personally. So your computer was not as good as the company. Your phone was not as good as the company. Nowadays, it's the opposite. Most of the
Yeah.
time, people have better equipment for themselves, and they have to dumb down to use the company computer or the company phone or the communication. Which one do you think you're going to attract more if you don't upgrade? Is already there's a race because they have better. So thank you.
Yeah. No problem, Paulo. So another question that obviously we're seeing all of these different Techman robots and Telemann robotics installed throughout, but what is kind of your most innovative robotics that you've seen in use, or like your favorite use of robotics that you've seen at a facility?
So very timely. We didn't plan this, but the video that's playing now is a Gleaner Food Bank, the second largest food bank in the West, 300,000 square feet. And they asked us to put a box palletizer for them. There are two people palletizing. There were not a box palletizer, excuse me, a box erector. There are two people doing this job in that line that you saw. They are not volunteers, guys. Volunteers show up Saturday and Sunday. They don't show up from Monday through Friday. So they have to have people, and they're paying $18 an hour. So it was one of the most satisfying to us. But in this application here, big press, but there are so many. And another one you're going to see in the video later is related to photo taking, a company out of Fort Wayne. And guys, we went through the palletizing, we went through machine tending, we did all of this. Okay, so that is with the difference. This is a sausage factory, by the way. So but that one is the company Sweetwater is located in Fort Wayne. For the ones who like music or guitars, everybody knows them because they're the largest supplier, reseller of guitars in the world. Okay, so 1.6 billion, and they have to take pictures of this guitar. They can cost from $500 to like $50,000. And there's a battalion, what started an idea 20 years ago. There's a battalion of people taking these pictures, a very repetitive job. So there was one person taking pictures, another editing them. Now with the cobot, they program the robot for the pictures, and they can apply just one person editing and don't have to have the camera in the hand. The camera is quite heavy. Short person has to go in a ladder. A tall person has to hunker down. So there's no good position there. So and very glad, and a lot of good acceptance by the team, because it's something that they don't want to do anymore. They want to do the creative stuff. So those two, I think, and we apply one thing in common to a lot of companies. This one here, sanding. There's a cluster of wood sanding here in southern Indiana, and they cannot. The unemployment rate is 2%. It's basically full employment. Okay, so they to the point where the people are aging. The people don't want to do the sanding by hand of a chair. Can you do by robot? Yes. And we have proven them. There's a special feature here. This mechanism, it maintains force within 30 millimeters variation. So you're gonna see the recedes a little bit. So interpolates. It's as close as possible to a human hand. Okay, and you achieve what you need to do. And there are several people. These applications, people, palletizing, boxing, machine tending are the number one. But you have so many things that you can do until you start doing and you start applying the technology. You cannot really understand how powerful this can be for you. This is Purdue University here in the video. They are retrofitting machines. There's a new center, School of Industrial Engineering, and that's the other video I showed was in Taiwan, where this cobot is going to be connecting to the machines wireless and taking parts back and forth. So there's a lot of thought on this to be the future of manufacturing.
Thank you, Paulo. So another question that I would have for you then is, if you are a company that is looking to add cobots into the manufacturing setup, what should how should you begin that path? What are sort of the things that you want to have in place before you decide that you want to integrate a cobot?
So cobots, they shine when you have uh, the situation where it relatively high mix, low volume. So and that's difficult to automate with the traditional automation. Okay, that operation that's a pain for you. And for years you try to do something, but it costs so much money. Where's the machine, so forth. So those situations are cobot shine because you can generate programs, you can adapt the cobot. This place here, the door was a very narrow door because it needs to be dark all the time. So we went there. I took the cobot and for the door, there's not possible any other equipment because it's light. So you can do things that typically automation they don't. So the way to go about this is look for integrator. We can be help. It starts with an assessment. You have pain. We sing different things in the world, and then we discuss. I can tell, for instance, sometimes I've been to a place where I thought the solution was a pelletizing, but truly the person wants a box erector, and they know only when I start talking about it. So we provide solutions, but it's important that interaction with the customer telling us what is the pain points for him, what's important in your quality, what needs to be really assured in quality. What I typically, when I'm in an assembly line, first thing I ask to know what the cobot is, I ask the people on the line, I said, what's the job in this line that nobody likes to do?
Yeah.
What's the champion? Because they'll be welcome. Nobody likes to do, and we start there. If it's feasible, it's not feasible, and every factory have probably quite a few jobs that nobody likes to do. Okay, so uh, and and uh, and this is expandable too. So an initial project can cost you between 80 to 120,000. It depends. Is not, and the payback typically is less than a year. So uh, we advise even people to start small. Pick a project that is a winning project, a project that you know that you can win hearts inside of the place. Because once people get accustomed to it, they will get more. Okay,
Mhm.
ask for more solutions. So, or even be creating things that as an owner or engineer, you never thought about. So listen to the people, and we can come and assess. And there are the people all around the world listen to this. So there are distributors from Tecmo in Europe and in other regions in the West, and Asia, you name it. So if you in the website, there is the distributors list there. Start, and they can recommend an integrator. That's the way to start.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Paulo. Now, once again, if anyone has any questions that they want to ask Paulo, you can do so at the bottom of the Zoom screen in the Q&A box. But another question that I would have for you, Paulo, and this is something that you have touched on, but which tasks are you really seeing kind of being taken over by the cobots? What, are the areas that you're really seeing these cobots shine?
Yes. So going through factory to factory and understanding the systems that people work, most machines are made to be hand fed. Okay, machines are standard. It doesn't matter which machine. It can be a press brake, can be a machining tool, can be even we've done sanders. All of them are made to you insert something in the machine, you take out. Very few, okay, are made to connect to other machines. That's where the cobot shine, where that operator that is manipulating the parts between the machines, they are prime for implementation. I mean, if you have a lathe and you have or a milling machine and you still have an operator in front of it, you're wasting time. Honestly, you better have that person be a better machinist, true machinist, and to take the time to generate programs for the machine. Don't worry about feeding the machines. I've seen cycle times of 15 seconds. It is a crazy for me. So the jobs that are repetitive, tedious, hard to find too, But sometimes, and when it's a hard job and tedious, good luck finding people.
Mhm.
If it's
Yeah.
tedious and easy, you're gonna find some people.
Yeah.
Okay? But if it's tedious and hard to perform in a dirty environment, noisy environment, and so forth, uh, you need that's prime for automation. And I've seen factories that we visit that some of these key areas, people are still paying by piece. So the operator is ready
Yeah.
to have a heart attack at any time, working fast. It is it's temporary solution, guys. This is not the way to go. Okay. I hope I helped.
Awesome. Thank you, Paulo. So another question then that I have for you is how can cobots contribute to enhancing the precision, the efficiency, and even the flexibility at a manufacturing facility?
Well, a lot of times I get when we display or develop a project and show that it looks lower than the person doing. Okay, I get that vibe all the time. And it is funny this because first of all, when someone is looking, someone else working, they always work faster because the boss is looking,
Yeah.
the customer is looking. So get busy, okay? Get busy, do something.
Yeah.
So it's very normal. But second is how consistent that can be throughout the day. How can you really plan your life throughout the day? And I've after applying automation, some customers they came back to us and said, "Hey, it looks lower, but I simply double my production,
Yeah.
as little as that." And
Yeah.
and that consistency, time, pace, and also the quality of it. Okay, one of the reasons these guys ask us to palletize these bottles for them, the bottle is not square, the bottle is rectangle shape. So uh, it's not much different. But their customer, when they put in their machine, if the bottle is turned, it jams their machine.
Yeah.
So they're about to lose a customer, and the quality was terrible. But then they tell them go back and revise every bottle. So as a simple task, because if operator is feeding, gets distracted, put the ball in the wrong position, and so that efficiency and that quality, and we talk here a little bit quality detection. I give an example, very simple, and for companies. Uh, there's a lot of quality controls that are done by sampling, 1 or 10 pieces, 1 or 20, 1 or 2, whatever. The goal there is not obvious if you're not checking 100%, you're checking trends. So
Mhm.
the reality of the factor is you rely on the operator to give you the 1 out of 20. And sometimes they do a few in the morning, a few at the end of the day, put in a spreadsheet by hand, and that's it. Because you're trying to produce and forgot or whatever. So cobots, they can separate 1 out of 20, guaranteed. So you're going to separate and you're going to have that sampling and you can test them and you can check trends. So ultimately, you don't produce bad parts for a long time because you're really checking the trend. You're using the people to evaluate for the analysis, but the data generation, the mechanical parts done by the robot. Okay, so that definitely. And one thing I touched with you, Jake, before, very interesting, is that statistics showing that companies that automate, they end up having more people employed than the ones that don't. The reason is uh, some of the theories behind, but here's what I understand. It's difficult to find people to do the tedious job. Okay, so companies, when they automate, the job satisfaction of the people that stay, they're higher. So they're better productivity right there, besides the robot doing what it being more productive itself. But also because they automate, they attract more people, they attract young people. And then your production increases. Guess what? You need accountants, you need lawyers, you need people managing the business, people driving. So maybe not for long driving, maybe autonomous driving is coming, but
Yeah.
so the jobs, the ancillary jobs that are around that particular operation, they get better. And they improve, they increase. So it's very common for companies that automate get better results for employing more people. That's why governments are not too shy. Say, hey, I'm promoting the automation because they know ultimately everybody benefits. Okay.
Yes. Mhm. Awesome. Thank you, Paulo. So Jason in the audience wants to know, how many companies do you see going to robotic welding?
Well, this is a pitch fever. Okay, so excellent question. We have a cobot, a welding cobot in the Fab Tech. I didn't go this time. Person who works with me went, Daniel, and welding. It is. I mean, the demand is incredible. A lot of people are going that direction. Salaries are $50 to $70 per hour. That right there justify a welding cobot so easy. Um, Difficult to find to develop good welders too. Okay, and so it's a prime thing for cobots. The weight of the arm doesn't vary; it's always the same. So you're just guiding a tool. Uh,
Mhm.
we see the companies like Miller and Lincoln Electric developing units. We partner with Miller to do that. So directly connects to the cobot. There's no button even in the controls. There is only directing the cobot. Um, and eh, One thing that when we get to this market was very interesting for me was I started interviewing people. Said, why you get a cobot, weld a cobot? Why not people? And I learned this. Welding is a very hard thing to do. I went to the trade school. I respect to death welding. Okay, so it's a talent, hand-eye coordination, and good welders, inventive welders. They don't like repetition because
Yeah.
they're intelligent. They don't like repetition. So they like to develop the program, put your speed, put your path, understand the right parameters that you're going to set, but they don't like to do 200 parts of that part.
Yeah.
So right there, I think is inevitable. Like machine tending for milling machines and lathe, welding cobots cobots, industrial robots, they are really mainstream now. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Paulo. One other question that I have for you is obviously one of the big buzzwords that we have nowadays in the industry is Industry 4.0 and
Yes.
IIoT, however you phrase it. So, how are those opportunities with cobots and robots being used to connect to an IIoT or an Industry 4.0 system?
Yes, thank you. This connects a little bit to the other questions that we had. So instead of having the employees doing the repetitive work, they are able to evaluate data. Robots, cameras, inspections, all of this can be gathered, collected. And that is the Industry 4.0. So you get digital information from your process, and you have time, someone trained to evaluate that and eventually fix. So inheriting to it, you don't need to be connected to the internet to operate a cobot. This can be a standalone operation, okay? But let's say you want to know how many blocks you palletized today, or what types of beans you did. In this case here, beans. I learned there are 40 types of beans doing the automation for this company in the West. I didn't know that. Pinto beans, lima beans, all kinds of beans. So so the IoT that so they can reduce inventory because they know they connect the demand of the customers to what they're producing. And robots, remember when I said they're more reliable as far as how many you're going to produce? So you can plan that better too. Okay, you know by 2 days you're going to have 800 parts or whatever number of parts. You're not guessing. Nobody gets sick.
Yeah.
You have it that. So that full integration reduce the working process, the inventories, the working process in the middle, and make more effective, and you produce what customers are looking for, not based on guessing. Okay, that's my take on it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Paulo. It appears that we do not have any more questions from the audience. So a massive thank you, obviously, to Techman Robot for sponsoring today's webinar, and a huge thank you to Paulo Dutra Imelo, the VP of Sales and Operations at Telemann Robotics. Very, very informative presentation today, Paulo. And once again, I thank you for joining us and giving us some of your time.
Thank you, Jake. Always a pleasure here, work with you and the team, and providing this space for us to talk and discuss some of the things that are very important for the industry, economy in general in the West. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Have a great rest of your day.
You can listen to all of our episodes of Manufacturing Matters and Lunch and Learn podcast from the MFG Radio Network on Spotify, Apple Music, and on our websites, todaysmedicaldevelopments.com, aerospacemanufacturinganddesign.com, defenseandmunitions.com, and evdesignandmanufacturing.com.